Fear is as common as the grass and the trees. It's part of being human. It's how we evolved. However, unchecked, it can really have an impact on our lives. Paralyze us. It can make us unmotivated. It can make us isolate. Do what it takes to stay inspired. Do what it takes to find the energy to help yourself, speak to a professional, and get through these imagined barriers. Fear is not real. Fear is a potential outcome that has not happened yet. And if it does happen, you will likely find a way through it. Trust yourself. Trust your ability. Trust your talent. Trust your will. Trust your resources. Fortify yourself and point yourself in the direction you want to go. Take up your sword and shield and step forward into your greatness. Beyond that threshold lies the life that you want. Please go forward with all that you have. Don't hold back. Make your life happen. What I want to talk about is a conversation I had with my mother. I was showing her some clips of these videos and telling her that I was doing a deep dive into self-doubt. If you watch episode 1 or 2, I will talk about times where self-doubt got in the way. And when I showed her this, she got really angry at me. And I suddenly became this child back in the home with mom reprimanding me. It was intense. She said, I don't understand. How could you doubt anything with all you've done in the world, all the proof and evidence you have? How could you let doubt shake you one bit? Why don't you walk into the room and own it? There's no doubt in your mind, no doubt in your life at all. You have challenged everything that's come your way and you've been successful at it. What's this doubt about? And I didn't have an answer. I thought, well, Mom, self-doubt isn't stopping me, but if I'm going to be transparent and talk about doubt to people that watch these videos, I want to tell them I wasn't always this iron corset of confidence and high self-esteem. Not at all. I earned it. And there are times where that little shadow of doubt creeps in over my shoulder and gives me pause. But I did convince her that it doesn't stop me. And that's because of the lessons that my parents infused in me. Our talent was boundless and our possibilities were boundless if you did the work and you kept believing. She said, believe it as if it's already been made manifest. Your life will unfold accordingly. And she was right. It's what I do and what I've always done. And I want to talk about it. And I want to give you some tools that might help you when doubt turns into anxiety, which turns into fear, which stops you from doing what you've got to do for your life. Let's get into that. So, Mom, I'm sorry. I did have some doubt. I don't anymore. I mean, I have the doubt, but it doesn't stop me. I've learned to walk with it. Believe me, I listened to you. I took your advice. I always took your advice. And I walk with lions because of the life that you've given me. And I am grateful to you. In this life, all of our past lives, and every life to come, I am grateful to you, to Dad, my grandmother, my family, for all of you, for instilling in me enough confidence to do what I've done in the world. I am grateful. I call them lions. Life challenges, unchanging circumstances. It's more than a metaphor. It's a way of life. In episode 1, we spoke about the universality of struggle. In episode 2, we presented one of the most powerful tools needed to walk with lions, cognitive reframing. When you take a situation and change your perspective, shift how you look at it, change the frame, and you can change the way you face that challenge accordingly, or walk with that challenge. Now we're going to get into how self-doubt can transition to anxiety and into fear, and how it can be really debilitating, and how it might dig yourself out of a hole when you find yourself in the hole of dark fear. Check out the description below for other episodes in the season, along with helpful tools and links to places and resources where you can do your own research on fear, reframing, the universality of struggle, and much, much more. So I consider myself a fairly confident person. I have faced many lions. I've walked with them. I walk with them all the time. And I know that whatever lion comes my way, I hope, I will have what it takes to figure out how to walk with it. I will use the tools I talk about in my videos, and I hope that you will too. That said, I can remember a time when I transitioned from being a dancer, and I was really, really confident and strong, a very, very strong dancer. and I decided to move into administration. Administration was new for me. It's a different part of the brain. You have to, instead of being in the moment as an artist, kind of working with what's before you, you have to kind of plan ahead and picture things in advance and map out how you're going to get things done. That was a new skill for me. I did it in high school. I was a chemistry major. I was very good at it back then. As I got deeper into dancing, that skill atrophied. And I found myself in situations where I had to figure out how to do task lists and Excel charts and Word documents, and thankfully technology was very helpful. All that said, as I began to do this, I can remember people saying things like, why aren't you more organized? Why aren't you more prioritized? Why are things always late? Why are you doing it this way? You did this wrong, you did it that way, you're making too many mistakes. These are the things people were saying to me. Instead of sitting me down to walk me through these things, they were telling me what I wasn't doing. Not easy to hear for a dancer who really develops their skill by feedback. You look in the mirror, you try something, the teacher tells you something, you look in the mirror, you fix it, and you move on. Everything is about feedback. When you spend your life building yourself based on feedback, when people give you feedback, you listen. So I began to believe, well, why aren't I organized? And why am I not prioritized? And why am I doing this? And why am I doing that? I began to believe the comments that were being said to me. And I began to feel really bad about myself. And I began to doubt myself. And doubt became anxiety. If I miss the date or miss this detail, I'm going to have a drama. And I would get physically anxious, tight. My muscles would get tense. I would get a nervous stomach, nervous butterflies, just doing email. So hard, so bad, so not fun. It was a nightmare. Then one day, in a pile of paper, I had put together quite a powerful Excel chart. I was like, wow, this is pretty good. This is like really organized. And I began to see my logic. And I thought to myself, I am organized. I am prioritizing. I'm not making mistakes. When I make a mistake, I fix it. What is the problem? Then it occurred to me, you helped Mount Lion King 14 times around the world. And I said to myself, I'm running a whole school. I built this program from scratch. I had 3 dance studios, a bunch of kids, no teachers, no curriculum. I wrote the curriculum, and I began to list the things I had done. I said, wait a minute, nothing's wrong with me. Oh, I'm being gaslit. When people tell you things that are not true, that you begin to believe, and they say it enough, you begin to become what they want you to be, what they see. I'm not quite sure why they saw an organization, or why they saw things weren't prioritized, or why they saw the mistakes. When I was building a program, of course there are going to be mistakes. Right? Of course there are going to be things you get wrong, because you're building something new. If you can follow the directions, someone gives you a handbook, just do it. But I wasn't. I was creating and writing the handbook. This was quite an epiphany for me, because I realized I had let gaslighting inflame my self-doubt that had been dormant for a long time because I was such a confident dancer. I didn't doubt my abilities. I just did it. I would have nerves and I understood when I was having a challenge, but I never doubted that I could do it. And here I was doubting that I could do an Excel chart. What are you thinking? I was listening to the gaslighters, and they got into me, got into my mind, and self-doubt was driving the car. Then I got really mad. But instead of getting mad at people and not getting mad at myself, because I did get mad at myself for a minute, I decided I'm going to channel this anger. I'm going to fuel myself. I'm going to ignore the gaslighting and stick to evidence that's rooted in my reality. And if I make a mistake, I reframe it, like I talk about in episode 2, and make it a learning opportunity. Or I key into the universality of struggle, like in episode 1. Everyone's trying to figure something out. If you're in the game of achievement, you're going to hit barriers and you're going to have to walk with some fierce lions. And that's what I was doing. And that shift helped me get through that time. So self-doubt causes us to question our ability, self-value, and self-worth. Whether it's caused by gaslighting or your own insecurities, self-doubt is a heinous creature of a lion. Uncertainty can cause self-doubt, so just be real. Life is uncertain. We don't know for the next moment ahead what's going to happen. We can kind of predict if I'm standing here, I'll still be standing here in the next moment, but sometimes you're not. And that uncertainty can cause self-doubt. And if you amplify that into the world, going to work, going to the street, with this crazy world that we're living in, yeah, it's uncertain. And it is no certainty that things are going to go your way. First of all, acknowledging that uncertainty is there helps you go, okay, this uncertainty is a reality. It's a line we walk with. And by walking with uncertainty, self-doubt starts to quiet. We must get comfortable with uncertainty. Uncertainty is a part of life and it's not going anywhere. You either walk with it or let it inflame your self-doubt. You decide. I'm here to tell you, self-doubt is a one-way street into fear. Constantly living in these unhealthy states can cause fear even when there's nothing to be afraid of. We call this anxiety. According to the World Health Organization, more than 300 million people are living with some sort of anxiety. That's a lot of people. Here are 3 reasons you may be feeling fear or anxiety when experiencing self-doubt. Past negative experiences. We feel that history is repeating itself. Attachment style. Attachment styles come from our childhood experiences in our home environment, community, or school, and contributes to the degree with which we experience self-doubt. We can carry these unhealthy relationship habits into our adult lives, causing more distress. Might you have fear-avoidant attachment style? A strong desire and intense fear of being close to others, flip-flopping behavior or struggling with consistency, finding it difficult to trust people, even those close to you, oversharing and withdrawing emotionally, poor emotional regulation or overreacting too much, impulsive behavior, shying away from uncomfortable feelings. If you find yourself feeling like any of these on a regular basis, you might want to consider talking to a professional who can help guide you. There is help available. Please consider it. Now, we're not going to get too deep into attachment style in this video, but I will at some point do a video about that. I'm going to leave a link below for more information. Cognitive distortions. Distorted and unhealthy thinking habits such as overgeneralizing or thinking all people are a certain way, black and white thinking, can cause fear. This is important. They're called distortions because they're not real, and they become real in your mind because you obsess about them and think about them. For more about this, there's a link in the description from Harvard Health Publishing. Please check out this article if you're having those issues because it can really help point you in the right direction. These are 3 challenges fear may be creating in your life. Fear can drain all of our motivation, making it less likely that we will take positive, productive, and progressive steps towards our goals and things that make us feel happy and loved. Self-doubt turning to fear and anxiety and procrastination and lack of motivation is real. We can also develop unhealthy habits to cope with feelings of fear and anxiety. This leads to additional problems such as addiction, depression, suicide. Really, really bad things can happen. So I had this really bad habit of eating candy at night. Don't eat candy at midnight. It was not good. And I realized, okay, this is a problem. We're going to work on this and change it. It was about my well-being. It was about being healthy. It was about giving myself the life I deserved and facing those challenges at the time. And by facing them and walking with them, I was able to put down that habit, gone unchecked, that could have been a real problem for me. It's real talk. It's hard to talk about that. Anyone can fall prey to these unhealthy habits, and if you find yourself in this situation, please talk to someone and get some help, because it is not going to help you to have your body unhealthy as well as your mind doubting and fearing and full of anxiety. It's just a really dark place to be. No judgment. Do not judge yourself if you find yourself in this situation. 300 million people are dealing with anxiety at any given moment. So you are not alone, and we still have to try to do what we can to get ourselves out of those situations. Fear can cause us to isolate ourselves from our support systems and stop us from engaging in activities that we find a sense of joy and purpose in doing. If you have a broken heart and you have someone that you like and they stop calling you or they ghost you or something horrible happens and you decide, I'm done, I am not dating again. And you isolate yourself and you start pushing people away and you're acting out your drama and it's not good for anybody. Of course, this never happened to me. Love can be a lion to walk with, and everyone's going to walk with it their own way. But what we cannot do is allow it to let us isolate ourselves and keep ourselves from the things that we enjoy and keep ourselves from being hurt again. Love is about the willingness to be hurt. Love is about putting your most authentic self forward and hoping that the person in front of you is going to accept and love that person. And if not, out! You are the gift, okay? You are the gift. And if you find yourself in a situation where love has gotten you down and someone's broken your heart, or maybe you've broken their heart, don't be afraid to face it again. Do not avoid it. Walk with a lion and find the love that you deserve. Don't like talking about love, so we will not talk about that right now, but it's an example of what fear, anxiety, and self-doubt can cause. Now, here are 3 ways to develop a healthy relationship with fear. talk it through. And it is best to do this with a professional. Do not hesitate to call in a professional if you need to talk these things through. There are affordable options. I'll put a link in the description to Psychology Today. You can search based on your preference, the kind of person, the style, the way that they work, the insurance they take. Please take a moment to review that. It can be very helpful when talking through things like fear. If you're feeling nervous butterflies or the occasional anxiety, that's okay. But if fear, anxiety, and self-doubt is blocking you from doing something, is impacting your life in ways that are derailing you from the life that you want, that's when it's time to ask for help. Be shameless about this and call someone to speak to. Break it down. Break it down and get to the bottom of what you fear and why. When you break it down into small pieces, you can see the progression of how things can get blown out of proportion. If you focus on the process of your life and not the result, that also helps. Fear comes when you see the end and it's so far away. How are you going to get there? No money, no resources, no this, no that. You see all the challenges and there's suddenly a catastrophe in front of you. If you break it down and shift your life, your perspective, you reframe your life into a series of processes. This podcast is an example. Again, if I'm seeing the end, I want to have 1 million followers and make $10,000 a month and blah, 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 blah. That is a rabbit hole that is going to take me down, right? I like the idea of filming videos. I like the idea of editing. I'm having a really good time exploring this material with you, and I'm just making videos. Yes, it would be awesome to find myself in a situation where I could actually do this for a living, but that's not the goal. The goal is to create a space where I can have these conversations and help people like you get through the challenges in your life. And for now, that has to be enough. And it is. I'm having a really, really good time. And we'll see what happens if I stick to the process. History shows if you stick to the process, things happen. So let's go. See what happens. Set small, reasonable goals. Start small and build up your resilience. And we're going to talk about resilience in the next video, episode 4. This works. And don't forget, I've said it quite a bit in this episode, reframe. Reframe whatever fears you have and turn them into opportunities to grow, turn them into opportunities to test your resilience, turn them into opportunities to learn and to fortify yourself. And then the fear and anxiety and self-doubt becomes the adventure that it should be. That's what worked for me anyway. Is it a fear or an adventure? That's the beauty of reframing. You get to choose. Fear is as common as the grass and the trees. It's part of being human. It's how we evolved. However, unchecked, it can really have an impact on our lives. Paralyze us. It can make us unmotivated. It can help us. It can make us isolate. Do what it takes to stay inspired. Do what it takes to find the energy to help yourself, speak to a professional, and get through these imagined barriers. Fear is not real. Fear is a potential outcome that has not happened yet, and if it does happen, you will likely find a way through it. Trust yourself. Trust your ability. Trust your talent. Trust your will. Trust your resources. Fortify yourself and point yourself in the direction you want to go. Take up your sword and shield and step forward into your greatness. Beyond that threshold lies the life that you want. Please go forward with all that you have. Don't hold back. Make your life happen. Keep a lookout. It will be here once posted. And here's the whole playlist of 10 episodes. Are you ready to embrace your roar, your capacity for reflection, optimism, authenticity, and resilience? Your lines are waiting. Let's learn to walk with them. One planet, one tribe, one world, and love and light. I'll see you there.